Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another video. It's time for another mention, but this time the style of this build is all over the place, but in a good way, I think. So I mixed a couple of different styles for this, and the absolute eye catcher here is the glass floor in the front, and I also used some glass floors on the interior, as you just saw in the beginning of the video. I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but first I want to say something about the overall style. So I had no idea what I was going for. At first I wanted to build a modern build, but then I used one of the archways that was added to the base game a couple of months ago. These archways have a kind of Middle Eastern style, and then I also added these round roofs, but then at some point I completely changed the color scheme and then it almost looked Mediterranean in a way. So I just combined all kinds of different styles, and I feel like this is the appeal of this build. So the glass floor. The glass floor is an island living object. I also decided to build this in Solani, so the glass floor fits right into this world. This is the 50 by 50 lot in Solani, where you can actually build a pool, which is what I absolutely wanted to do, because as you saw, there is a pool underneath the glass. And how I did this is I built a pool in the ground, just a regular pool, just like how you would always build it. And then I built a room next to the pool. I placed a floor on top of the room, and then I got rid of the room at the bottom. And when you do this, the floor is just floating, and you can click on the floor. You have some arrows, you can move it down, and I moved it down as low as possible, so the floor is hovering right over the pool surface. I then adjusted the size, and then I added the island living glass floor. You can size it up or down. I sized it up and I used two of them in the front. Sometimes this object is acting a bit weird when you're sizing it up or down. This also applies to placing the lot. So if you want to download this lot from the gallery, in case you place it, it may happen that the glass floor looks weird. So what happens is you size this object up, and then the original size of the glass is remaining and only the frame gets bigger. And when this happens, all you have to do is you pick this object up and then you place it again, and then it looks perfectly fine. I don't know, they never fixed this. This happened right after Island Living came out, and this is one of the building bugs that never got fixed, but this is how you can fix it. So if you would just build a pool on a foundation, then you couldn't do that because there's no way of just adding a glass floor on top. So this is just the little trick. The pool is in the ground, and then you have a hovering floating floor right above the water surface. So technically the whole house is floating, but this is not really visible because I used one of the more thicker exterior trims all around the house at the bottom, which I think looks super cool. You cannot do that when you're building a house on the ground. Then you cannot apply a exterior trim at the bottom, but this way you can, and it looks super cool. For some builds I also like to use a shelf that I place all around the house at the bottom. Here you don't have to do that. You can just apply an exterior trim, and I think it's a really cool look actually. I didn't use any terrain tools for this build. What I did was I built a basement in front of the house, and then I got rid of the ceiling. And how you do this is you simply build a basement, then you go down to the basement, so you are on the level of the basement. You select the basement, you just click on the room, and then you go one level up, and you will see that there is a yellow frame. And then you click on the yellow frame, and then you can select delete ceiling. And the same way you can actually build a ceiling when you click on a room or on a basement. Then you will see that there's an option to build a ceiling, which is much easier than just using the little floor thingy to build a ceiling. So it's a little trick to just quickly delete or build a ceiling. Here you can see that I built a little courtyard. I just felt like the build was lacking something there. I didn't want to expand the interior more and more though, because then it's a bit weird to furnish it. So I wanted to have a really big build, but I still didn't want to use the whole lot, because then, as I said, furnishing is a nightmare sometimes. And also it's a bit weird to find more and more rooms and ideas for rooms. Okay, I mean, what can you add? Maybe a pantry, an office, a second office, maybe one formal living room, another living room, but at some point you are just running out of ideas, and I didn't want this to be some type of crazy crazy over the top castle build. So even though it's really huge, I wanted to minimize the interior space, so the courtyard was a great idea actually. I used more archways here, but not the ones that I used in the front. I just combined different things here. This fence is part of the vampires pack actually, and I think it's really fun to see how I was able to use different styles to create a completely new one almost. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. What kind of style is this? What kind of architectural style does this build remind you of? I mean, I know that this is technically fantasy territory at this point because I was just adding all kinds of different things, but maybe it reminds you guys of a certain architectural style. So a little real life update. I don't know, I had the most weird day yesterday, Saturday. I slipped in the shower, which has never happened to me before, and it really hurt, but luckily nothing happened. I checked right away if anything is broken, or I don't know, I was so scared of this, and my first thought was, oh no, not right before Christmas. I don't know, there's just so much stuff to do, and then traveling and spending Christmas with my family, but luckily everything was alright. Then I went to the store, and in front of the store I got almost hit by a bicycle. And then in the store I noticed that I forgot my purse at home, so I had to go back home to get the money. So it was such a weird day. I don't know, do you know this? Sometimes you just have a day where everything goes wrong, and I was almost scared. I was afraid to do anything yesterday because I thought, what is going to happen next? I mean, I'm not really superstitious. I don't really believe in these things. I also don't believe in anything bad happening on Friday the 13th, but at the same time, on these types of days when so much bad things, small bad things happen, I always think, oh my god, what is going to happen next? I don't know if you guys know this, but this is how I feel about these things. For the floor, I decided to use different floors, so different patterns to make it more interesting. I wasn't sure if this might be too dark, like the overall color scheme, which is why I decided to change a couple of things up. So what I did later, as you saw in the beginning where you saw the finished build, I incorporated some wood because wood always looks warm and happy, and it's always a good contrast. Someone left a comment a while ago, which I think was perfect. They said that every builder has a weakness, and my weakness is the color white, and this is just so true because I really love to use white roof trims and exterior trims. I just really like the whole contrast to the other colors of the build. I don't know, I just love this look so much, but sometimes I really try to stray away from my favorite color scheme ever, so I incorporated a bit of wood, which is actually also something that I really like. And for the two towers on the top that I'm working here, for each tower I used two round roofs on top of each other, and here I was originally working with a square shape, but then I changed the shape at the bottom as you just saw, and then I added the glass roof. So what you can do is you place one roof and then you copy it, and you can place it in the exact same spot, and then you just change the shape or the height of one of the two roofs, and this way you can create some really interesting roof patterns. So there is one roof at the bottom which is much flatter, and then one on top of it which is much higher, and it has a round shape. I also incorporated the Get Famous arches and more columns and some shelves around it because I really liked the idea of having this little dome at the top, but I don't know, I felt like it was lacking something, so I just added more stuff, and eventually I used one of the debug items. It's a base game debug item. It's a round flower bed, I think. It's just round grass, and I also added this object to the big tower in the center. During the last couple of days I have also worked on a Christmas build. So I really like Christmas, as you guys know, and I really like to create some builds that, I don't know, like holiday themed builds, also Halloween themed builds. And this year it's so weird, but I kind of missed Halloween on this channel. Like, I'm really obsessed with Halloween, but there was only one Halloween build which was for a collab, and for some reason there was so much stuff going on and happening that I almost missed Halloween. Even in real life I always like to watch many horror movies for Halloween, but this time I didn't really do that. I mean, I celebrated Halloween itself, but the weeks before Halloween, I didn't really do a lot of Halloween themed activities, if you would like to call it that. But now it's Christmas, and I didn't want the same to happen with Christmas. So I really decorated my house early. I already put the Christmas tree up, and I have been watching so many Christmas movies. Like every day at night before falling asleep, I start to watch a Christmas movie with my boyfriend, and sometimes we need like 3 or 4 days to finish a whole movie because we are falling asleep. But I've been watching a lot of Christmas themed stuff. Let me know what are your favorite Christmas movies. I'm obsessed with Home Alone, actually, for example, all the classics, but I've also watched a couple of new ones on Netflix. Netflix put out a lot of Christmas movies, I noticed, which is really cool because there are all these classics, but is anyone even producing new Christmas movies? There aren't that many, which is sad because I don't know, we just need some new movies for Christmas season. So this is what I did, and I also want to make sure that there will be some Christmas themed builds on this channel. I have worked on one, as I said. This is for a collab. You will see soon what this is all about, but I'm also going to work on a huge Christmas build, which will be a lot of fun, hopefully. And yeah, I hope that I nail it, and I'm really really in the Christmas mood at the moment, which is great because, as I said, I felt like I missed Halloween and I really regretted that, but now I'm in full Christmas mode. So here I'm working on another glass floor. I mean, this is a glass floor mansion, so I didn't only want to include the one in the front. This would be boring. I really wanted this to be a theme for the whole house, and the house is already on the correct level because I already figured that out in the beginning and the front of the house. As I've explained you guys now know how to do this. So once you've done that and your house is on the correct level, all you have to do is just build a pool underneath and add a glass floor on top. You don't have to work with the floor. You don't have to make sure that you have the correct height. You've already done that in the beginning, and once you've figured that out, you can just add more and more glass floors and pools to your house without having to work on anything else, which is very simple. So I did that for the dining room area right in front of the kitchen, and I also incorporated another glass floor for the office. The interior has a super minimalistic and almost monochrome color scheme. So for the walls I used a beige wallpaper, which is part of university. It looks super modern and futuristic almost. I really like that. But the rest of the interior is really just black, gray and white. The floor is part of Get Famous and it has a gray color swatch, which is super amazing. So for some reason I just decided to have a really modern, minimalistic, monochrome interior. This is really different from the outside. I mean, there are some modern elements on the outside. I, for example, used the Moschino stuff pack room dividers, both on the interior and exterior. But I just wanted to try something different, and I really like how it turned out. I also really enjoy the floor plan. For some reason, it just makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of space, but it doesn't seem to be too spacious. But I also decided to divide some of the space with a half wall, and as you will see, I used one of the university pack windows just so it looks a bit more interesting. And here is another glass floor. I placed a dining table instead of a regular desk. I really like to do that because it just looks, it's bigger, it looks like one of those really big desks, and it's just amazing. You have so much more options when you're using a dining table instead of a regular desk. And here I'm placing the half wall. I used the highest height available and they look so amazing. They have this diagonal shape at the top. I also used them for one of my recent builds. They are just amazing. You can size them up and then you can create some really unique exteriors with these windows, and they just have a really amazing shape. I said this before, but this is just something different for once. In Get Famous, for example, we had this very modern window with a super thick frame, which was really uncommon, and this is one of This is just different again, which I really enjoy because I don't want to have the same windows all over again. This is just something new and fresh and different. And the other windows that I used here, for example, you can see them in the bathroom and in the other rooms. These are also part of university, and I really like these modern windows, even though I also said this before, I enjoyed the traditional ones even more, but they did such a great job on the windows in this pack, in my opinion. If you're a builder, I can totally recommend getting this pack, even for the windows alone. I mean, I really enjoy to work on the exterior, and new windows are like Christmas for me. Talking about Christmas again, but I really love windows and new exterior trims and stuff, and this pack just has a lot of these things. This here is another little office corner. The fireplace is part of the vintage glamour stuff pack, actually one of my favorite stuff packs, or probably my favorite stuff pack, or maybe even Moschino stuff pack. I know that many people don't like the Moschino stuff pack, but I really enjoy the furniture. I mean, I'm a builder, so of course I have a huge focus on this, but I really enjoy the rug, for example, the paintings on the wall. Look at these modern amazing objects. They are all part of the Moschino stuff pack, and there wasn't any window in this room really, so I added the modern one at the top above the shelf, the bookshelf. Also one of the modern windows that came with university. The area around the courtyard is just a hallway basically, so I just added a couple of rugs. And here, this is the master bedroom. It's an ensuite, so this means that it's a bedroom with a bathroom attached to it. This is also super monochrome. Again, the rug is also part of the Moschino stuff pack. The bed is part of the vintage glamour stuff pack, and so is the cupboard. And I just combined all kinds of different objects from different packs. And this is it, guys. This house has actually 4 bedrooms. I just didn't record furnishing all of them because this video has already got so long, so this is just 1 bedroom that I recorded. But of course, this house is fully furnished. It's available in the gallery. It has 4 bedrooms, so there's enough space for a big family. I didn't use any CC, no mods, so you can download this on the gallery and use it if you would like to. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this build and video, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye bye.